and welcome to On the Ledge podcast, the Atlas of Deadly Plants minisodes, number 4. So I hope you've entered the competition. If you haven't done so already, check the minisode episode 3, yesterday's episode, to find out how you can enter to potentially win one of 5 copies of this book. Today is a short but sweet episode about some of the terms that I use in the book. There's quite a lot of jargon in the world of poisonous plants, and I thought I'd break down a couple of interesting terms for you today. The first one is called treacherous remission. Treacherous remission. What on earth does that mean? Well, in a nutshell, it means when you think you're getting better and actually you are getting worse and need to go to the hospital quick smart. So treacherous remission often occurs in poisoning cases, particularly fungus poisoning cases, where you start off with gastrointestinal symptoms. So you think you've got food poisoning or a tummy bug because you're throwing up, or you've got diarrhea, or your stomach is sore. And unless you connect it to something that you've eaten in the form of perhaps a foraged plant, you don't realise that you've been suffering from a plant poisoning. So you mistake the symptoms for gastro, and then that goes away and you start feeling better. And unfortunately, you are then likely to not seek medical help. In many cases, this is the moment at which the toxins are really getting to work on the rest of your body, and that can be very serious. Treacherous remission is definitely something that happens in an already difficult situation for medics, where they are often on a detective hunt to try to figure out what you've eaten. If you don't know what you've eaten and you can't identify it, it can be a real puzzle. As I say, lots of the symptoms echo symptoms of other conditions. To give you an example from the book, the deadly webcap, Cortinarius rubellus, is one of those species where often treacherous remission will occur with poisoning cases by this particular one. Deadly webcap symptoms, if you've eaten one of these, it can take 2 to 14 days until the symptoms turn up. So by the time you start vomiting and feeling sick, you make no link with that mushroom that you thought you knew as an edible that you ate a couple of weeks ago. And then unfortunately the toxins are working on your organs, particularly your kidneys. So yeah, treacherous remission. I don't want to scare you because, as I say in the introduction to the book, plant poisonings are relatively rare these days. But if you think you've eaten something in the way of a mushroom and you start to get gastrointestinal distress, please do seek medical assistance. The second term that I want to tell you about in this episode is called therapeutic index or therapeutic range. And that just means the amount of a medicine that you have to take for it to be effective and for you not to overdose. So lots of the plants in this book have been used for some form of medicine, Western or indigenous medicine, and it's all very nice to think, oh great, well perhaps these plants can help us. Well, yes, but oftentimes the reason why we don't use them anymore in the modern age is because they have a very narrow therapeutic range. And that just means it's very easy to overdose. So you end up taking too much and it does you harm rather than good. And that's why therapeutic range is really important when we're thinking about drugs that we're taking, and making sure that we get the right dose is absolutely vital. So that's a couple of terms that might stand you in good stead next time you think you've been poisoned by a plant. I'll be back tomorrow with some more fascinating stuff from the Atlas of Deadly Plants. But in the meantime, go now and enter my competition to win a copy. It's only open until midnight on Halloween. So 2025, I should say, just in case you're listening back in the archive. So go and enter the competition now. Or maybe just go and buy yourself a copy of my new book. I think you're going to like it. Bye.